As a survivor, I can see the positive intent of this bill. However, as a survivor who has been criminalized and demonized by the legal system that was meant to protect me, I have to remind the authors in this committee that this bill, I'm so sorry, will actively harm many survivors of human trafficking, especially the Black, brown, Native, poor, LGBTQ women and trans survivors who are already least likely to see justice. I sit before you as a criminalized survivor of human trafficking. I was born into the CPS system and has touched every system California has to offer. After I was kicked out of the system at 18, I was trafficked. At 19, I was criminalized by the court system, made out to be the perpetrator and the mastermind of a crime that I was also the victim of. I was sentenced to 20 years and 8 months. At that time, the charges were pimping and pandering, but had I been sentenced today, I would have been charged with human trafficking of a minor. I served 17 years in state prison where I received no referral to healing or rehabilitative services. I was considered a violent felon and had to register as a sex offender. I have never been seen as a victim of human trafficking. I was only seen as a bottom, a perpetrator, even though I was 19 and my 27-year-old trafficker was sitting next to me in court. He was never identified as a trafficker, let alone my trafficker, and was never convicted of any trafficking or pimping charges in Sacramento County. I am not a unique case. Not addressed in this committee's bill analysis is the horrifying reality that over 90% of human trafficking victims are criminalized while being trafficked, including many who have human trafficking charges instead of their trafficker. We need to acknowledge that our criminal legal system is not equipped to recognize human trafficking victims, especially young women and trans folk of color who are victims of sexual exploitation. If SB 14 passes, criminalized survivors will be subjected to punishments that will be doubled or escalated to a life sentence under 3 strikes. In many cases, doubled for low-level offenses that are not serious or violent. And prosecuting these survivors will not stop trafficking from happening, since these survivors are so easily replaced by their traffickers. Even with the recent amendments of this bill, there are many survivors who would fall through the cracks and face further punishment and trauma, survivors like me. This bill will have severe collateral negative consequences for victims and survivors. This is not the solution. The solution is to properly investigate cases, provide healing resources, and prevent further harm against survivors by the criminal legal system. Until we can protect victims from arrest, we must not pass laws that will further harm them, their families, or our communities. Under current law, I am still not acknowledged as a victim of human trafficking, even though I was recognized on the Senate floor as a survivor and an expert on human trafficking just a couple of months ago. We must stop creating bills that don't address the nuances of the situation, or we will continue to hurt vulnerable, traumatized victims. I understand that human trafficking is a serious problem, and I recognize what Senator Grove and the co-authors are trying to do with this bill. But until we can successfully identify victims and provide them support and relief, I cannot be in support of SB 14.